Hello and welcome to Conference 101. We're joined today by Brad Bankston, longtime commissioner of the Old Dominion Athletic Conference, to share a little bit with us about what is the purpose of a Division III conference, how do they work, and how do they spend their time. So Brad, let's just start off with a really basic question. How would you describe the general purpose and function of a Division III conference?
Leah, first of all, thanks for having me. And I think there are a lot of our members that are probably wondering what I do on a daily basis. So hopefully I can help shed a little light on the Division III operations. But for me, the first primary function of a conference is regular season competition and scheduling. The opportunity to have Division III contests in a geographic proximity, probably more important than ever, given around what we're doing with travel and certainly with expenses in the future, to be able to have that regular opportunity for competition and provide that for as many student athletes as possible. The second piece of that is the next step of competition, which is championship participation and the opportunity of having championship opportunities for student athletes at member campuses. Going into that, from that would be automatic qualification for NCAA championships. So if you're fortunate enough to have a league that's large enough in sponsorship with 7 members sponsoring a sport, you have the ability to have an automatic qualifier for NCAA championship play. You know, it's amazing how important that seems to be to conferences as you go through, especially when you're having membership discussions and adding sports, to make sure that you're at that threshold of membership sponsoring numbers. And then there are other benefits certainly that are a part of that. Unique to our league is officiating services. We supply that for all of our membership. That's something that many other leagues may take part and parcel from one supervisor to the other. We actually house that in our office and pay our officials through our conference office operations. I think programming, educational programming opportunities, and then other collaborative efforts. Certainly on the athletic side, if there are opportunities for competition that are outside of what we're normally doing, we try to supply that. And then I think on the academic side as well, you hope that you have members that are similar in some form. Many Division III leagues have a wide variety of membership. They're all not the same. That's one of the joys of Division III, I think, is the differences that we have in the division. At the same time, you're looking for those other opportunities to collaborate in one way, shape, or form. And oftentimes that's around some sort of student athlete involvement, either with the SAC or with other organizations from member institution campuses. So to me, those are the primary reasons. I know there are probably others and the reasons why people are grouped together from a league perspective, but to me, those are the general operating principles that we operate under at the ODAC.
Great, thanks, Brad. You already mentioned some of the different groups, constituent or stakeholder groups that you work with, and you talked about the variety of conferences that exist in Division III. They all function a little bit differently, but can you describe for us what you would characterize as a typical governance structure and process for a Division III conference?
And, I think your slide does a wonderful job of kind of laying out who those groups are. And at the top of every Division III conference is some sort of presidential leadership. And I think that the amount of work that the presidents actually do from a day-to-day basis will depend on the league. In some leagues, the presidents will have a lot of decision-making authority. Ultimately, in our league, they have the last decision-making authority, the highest authority, but they're not involved in the day-to-day operations as much as they may be in another league. Primarily underneath the presidents will be the council of ADs, directors of athletics. We call them the board of directors. There are chairs that are involved in that. They're typically executive committees that are a part of the president's group as well as the ADs group. And in our world, our ADs run the day-to-day ops. So my hands-on typical conversation will be with my chair, may also be with my executive committee, which are 3, a chair-elect, and a past chair. And then I'm using that executive group of the presidents, also a chair, a past chair, and a chair-elect, that are kind of bouncing those ideas off of them before we go to the presidents with agenda items or other items that we would need to handle at a regularly scheduled meeting. In addition to the ADs and the presidents, you're going to have FARs. There's some Division III leagues that have FARs really intricately involved in their decision-making process. They are involved in the voting. They may be casting the school's vote at a conference meeting. Our FARs work in a little bit different function. They actually attend our governance meetings. Not all of them. They have a representative that sits in our AD's board of directors meeting, but they are not involved in the voting process. But in several Division III leagues, they are essentially involved. The ADRs are another group that are probably important. Many of our ADs in our league actually report directly to the president, so we do not have as active an ADR group as many other leagues may have. And I think given where we are, certainly, or have been with COVID, it's certainly probably pretty evident that ADRs have been involved, especially in those situations where they are the direct report for athletics on their campus. You have senior women's administrators who in our world sit with our board of directors and actually attend our meetings. They are involved in governance processes, and you have your student athlete advisory committee. We do not have that group actually attending our AD's meetings, but they meet on a regular basis and certainly vet other issues that we may have come up that would be affecting our student athletes in one way, shape, or form. Of course, you have sport committees that come up through the coaching ranks. You typically have chairs or maybe vice chairs of those committees that are recommending proposals or changes related to championships or scheduling models for specific sports. And most importantly, probably over the course of the last 9 months for us have been our head athletic trainers. I cannot imagine being in a world of COVID that we would not have actually relied on them as much as we have and seen them lead in a way that essentially will hopefully get us back to competition in the spring and moving forward for the next academic year of 21-22. And I think the last one on your slide is sports information directors, and they make everything go, certainly from a media perspective, and oftentimes through games management. We engage that group regularly in our league, and having come from that world originally, they have a fond place in my heart. So we keep them involved in our operations on a regular basis.
So, Brad, you're covering a lot of functions, and your office is working with a lot of different groups across the league. Tell us a little bit about your conference office staff and what it actually looks like to do the work or be in a conference office.
So we're a little unique, I think, in our size, probably more similar to a Division II league in that many of those conferences have membership above 10. I think the average number of members in Division III, maybe 10 and a half. We have 15 full members. And as a result of that, with some of the other processes that we have, I know we're going to touch on conference business a little bit later, but we have an extra staff member. So I would say many Division III leagues probably look with a two-person office, function with a two-person office, commissioner, an executive director, and or an assistant or associate commissioner in those roles. I would say I wear every hat in our world, because we're also a part of the function of we operate independently. So we're not a part of a league school. We're not a part of their operations. Some Division III conference offices actually are a part of a Division III members' HR process or their payroll personnel numbers. We are not. So there are a lot of things that go along with my duties that are in addition to actually the function of the conference, from human resources, conversations, benefits, payroll. As I said, we also pay our officials through here, which moves quite a bit of money from one end on the beginning of the academic year to the end. Our associate commissioner in our world actually handles media relations, but he does much more than that. He serves an essential role with scheduling for us, functions, very hands-on with many of our sport committees, as do I as well. And we also have a third member of our staff who serves as a director of championships. And that person's job really is a catch-all. And they do a lot of different things. They deal with officiating. They deal with operations related to championships. We've hosted a number of national championships over the years, and that person runs point on many of those planning processes with us, with our host institutions, be that the city of Greensboro or the city of Salem or others that we've worked with over the years in hosting those events. So I think it all depends on really the number of members, Leah, and then what those extra functions may be in your office, of whether you would need a third full-time person. If you don't have a third full-time person, I would say there are a large number of our Division III conferences that actually have some sort of internship, and or if it's not student-based at the institution they may be housed at, it may be one of the grants that's provided through the Division III grant structure that have been so helpful. And really the reason why we ended up with a third person in our office was a direct result of the the internship grant that Division III provides many years ago.
Great. Thanks, Brad. Well, I want to ask one last question. We've touched a little bit on kind of the different business functions of a conference office, but as we kind of close out this discussion for our audience here of faculty reps and ADRs, is there anything you want to highlight about the important work that the conference does that, we haven't already mentioned in kind of walking through the purpose, the structure, and the staffing?
I'm sure I haven't touched on everything. Again, I think the slide that you have as part of the overview is a great representation of what a conference office does. As I just alluded to, I think the additional duties, dependent upon the way that you're set up, is certainly something that creates extra work. And I don't look at it as extra work. I look at it as extra services to our membership. I've always approached this job as being a service-oriented position. And if our membership wants something done, our job's to figure out a way to say yes and to get it done. And oftentimes that's a little odd. That may be us working with online game contracts to take those paper contracts that people mail back and forth or emailing back and forth. We take that over and do it through some sort of Google platform. And handling our officiating payments that take a load off of our business offices at our institutions' campuses. So I think there's some extras, but most importantly, it's membership. That's the core of what you're doing. You're maintaining that membership. It's about right now, but it's also strategically looking forward to determine, are there sports you want to add? Are there other members around you that are looking to, you may have membership looking to leave. Where are you looking for a new member? How are you filling those voids? Meeting organization, I think contest scheduling is a primary function. Every year we do an evaluation of our conference office. And amazingly, again, we ask people to rank the services that we provide to them. And first and foremost is contest scheduling. And that goes back to the original question I think you asked, which was, what's the function of a Division III conference? And it's creating that regularity, that reliability of scheduling, that who you're playing, you're comfortable who you're playing, and they're all following the same rules. Championships, rules compliance, I think functioning as a direct liaison to the NCAA office is another vital part of what a Division III office does. And we're very fortunate to have a wonderful staff of people in Indianapolis that handle that and use us as a conduit to be able to distribute information out to our membership in a way that is certainly unprecedented in the COVID era, and the ability that we've had to kind of serve in that role. And I've always been one that's kind of championed the opportunities for commissioners to be able to provide that link to the membership, and using us as kind of that filter has certainly helped during this time. But there are other duties as assigned I see on your slide, and I think we're all capable of filling those and actually do those with a smile, because that's the reason why we're in this business.
Great. Well, I want to thank Brad for joining us today. We invited him not only because he's a longtime commissioner in the division, but also because he is one of the best. And so he talked about taking a service-oriented approach to the job. And Brad in particular is also in a leadership role and a really important resource for all of his members. So thanks to you, Brad. And I'm sure if we generate some great conference questions during either one of our institutes, we'll send those your way.
Love to have them, Leah, and appreciate all that you guys are doing. And best of luck for your talks.